Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 372, and today we're going to be doing battle in a Singleton Gauntlet. And so this is our third Singleton video in a row. It's been a nice change of pace from the lands of Standard, and after this we're going to be jumping back into Standard for the foreseeable future. We won't be doing any more Singleton until the next Singleton event rolls around. And so in our previous videos we've really been kind of hammering home this mid-rangey kind of idea that I really like, to where we assume that the aggressive decks aren't very good just because the density of good aggressive cards you need doesn't exist. That means that there's going to be a lot of kind of mid-rangey decks doing battle, and so for battling with mid-rangey decks, I like to have a bunch of cards that improve our stats. And so we've been playing, I've been playing Freylord with a bunch of cards like Revna, Navarosian Hearthguard, Gift of the Hearthblood, the Darkin Spear, a bunch of ways just to boost the size of our units, because if everyone's getting in this kind of mid-rangey unit battle, having bigger units than your opponent is often how you come out and win the game. To kind of give ourselves a little bit of edge against the control decks that are going to be good against us, we do like to play some of the really high-powered spells like Feel the Rush to give us an opportunity to beat those decks before the games grind on too long or before they get the Sun Disk up and running. But if you took a note of what we said there, we said all of the aggro decks in this format are just garbage. They're trash. They're pure badness, if you will. And I want to see if we can't disprove that a little bit. And so the kind of interesting thing with this format is with across the factions that we're in right now between PNZ and Noxus, or PNZ and Bilgewater especially, you can just draw as many cards as you want. There's just tons and tons and tons and tons of card draw. In this deck, we have Eye of Dagger Kaboros and Barbed Chain, to a lesser degree Swindle, but then we also have Zap Sprayfin, Augmented Clockling, Black Market Merchant. We have lots of ways to come in and refill our hand. And so the problem that you typically run into with these one-drop based aggro decks is that you spew off all of your one-drops. Now it's like turn 6 and you don't have anything left to do with your mana. But with all of the card draw that we have access to, we should hopefully be able to continue to spend the majority of our mana through card draw and not be at such a disadvantage because we've chosen to play all of these cheap units. And so we've gone a few different directions to help augment our cheap units. A lot of this deck should look kind of familiar to the Samira decks you see in Constructed right now. We're running a large collection of the Plunder abilities. It's just an ability that we should be able to get a lot of value out of as we're attacking our opponent with these one-drops. We should very easily be able to activate all those abilities. But we also have things like Reaver's Row to come in and help boost all of our small plays, and then this big collection of Darkin equipment. I love the Darkin equipment like this. They're good early on our cheap plays. They're good late as they morph into the Darkin, and they really allow us to have a very considerable late game without including any expensive cards in the deck. And so that's the kind of main and core idea that we're going to be looking towards here. We want to flood the board with one-drops. We want to refill a little bit with this large amount of card draw that we have, and then after we've kind of spent that second burst of cards out of the card draw, we can ideally close out the game with a big Darkin or a Riptide Rex if the game isn't already done at that point. And so that's the deck. That's what we're going to be doing battle with today. You know what we're going to do before the battles begin, though. We're going to go and turn something premium, and it's going to be the Elegant Edge. You deserve it. It feels right. We're playing the one-drops. We're playing the Plunders. We have these nice Samira themes running throughout the deck. Only feels appropriate to come in and boost the Elegant Edge. Now, if we can find the Gauntlet, it will be good to go. Where are you at? The Plunders? Whew, Katarina. I love playing Katarina so much. I just... having access to all of those rallies is something I really miss out on. That's the easiest way to fix Katarina and all of her brokenness is just to rotate her out of Standard. So we'll be really excited when the Eternal season gets here. We can start playing Katarina again. We can start playing Legion Rearguard again. It's not that far away. It's not that long. Like the variety patch comes out in like a week. Is that right? Maybe it's 3 weeks. No, there's no way it's 3 weeks. Is it? The balance patch came out like 2 weeks ago. And so I think it's coming up soon. Whew, anyways, that's too much thinking for one to have to do. That's a lot to really get going on in the brain. And so let's dive into the battles here. We're up against some kind of a Felios number, a control deck for sure. I'm going to hang on to the Shell Shocker and just look for other cheaper plays. It's kind of tempting to hang on to something like a Barbed Chain because you know that you're going to be emptying your hand so quickly. But I kind of feel like we'll just draw something, right? We'll just eventually just draw a card, draw something to give us a little bit of additional value and not have to worry so much about holding on to that card draw right from the start. All right, let's see if opponent can stop any of this. It's tempting to just load up the Ballista onto Teemo, but I don't want him to just get blown up by a Mystic Shot or any of the removal spells you could have here. No Make It Rains, please. Come on, dude, we're playing Singleton, and you already got it? Okay. But still a reasonable start. We didn't lose out on too much here. But the idea that we had there is if the opponent's going to have a single target removal, we want them removing, the medium quality unit instead of the really good one. And so if we loaded up Teemo with the Darkin Ballista, that's a much juicier target for a Mystic Shot than if we put the Ballista onto the Shell Shocker. But still lots of action going on in our hand. This Crimson Pigeon still exceptionally relevant. The Darkin Ballista makes all of our units do a bit of good attacking. And then if it comes down to it, we got this Inferna with the Pirouette coming up for a future turn. So once we run out of stuff here, we shouldn't have too much trouble refilling or at least drawing a card or two. Zap Spray Fins. Everybody remember him? It's been so long, my friend. It's been so long. Oh, he's got a zap, huh? All right, well, let's try and clear the path. We gotta try and get some kind of damages in with this Darkin Ballista. Boy, is he gonna Pale Cascade on this thing? Oh boy. Not yet. Not yet. All right, let's load it up. Of course. Is to be expected out of a dirty Aphelios player. All right, so, I mean, the only bummer we have here is, I was really kind of counting on having a lot of one-drop units. Just a fantastic way to deal the point of damage to get the Plunder activated. I don't really want to have to use Pirouette as our Plunder activator, partially because we just don't have any more Plunders after that. And so ideally we'll be able to get a point of damage in and then just follow up to hopefully get some card draw going. So I'm going to lead off with Annie. Annie's the unit I would rather have die here. I'm hoping to get a little bit more action out of this Inferna. He's also a pretty decent holder for a Darkin Ballista. So see how the opponent responds. They can probably assume that we're not going to just pass the turn here. Like, at worst, we'd be putting the Ballista on Annie, and so they have a little bit of time to stall. And a Plunder. Okay. Come on, friends. We need some help. You gotta do it for us here. But, I mean, if we get to connect with, like, 1 damage and then still have Inferna on the board, play Black Market Merchant, and draw 2 cards, we're just kind of off to the races and way out card advantaging this opponent. So it's not the worst spot to be in the world. Hopefully we don't have to just be like throwing away pirouettes, but it's okay. Maybe he'll deploy the Zoe. There we go. you gotta stop and check their champions real quick and see if you're gonna get a target for that pirouette. Thinking on it long and hard though. The Tellstones into Aftershock, interesting. I was expecting that to come in and actually just pop off a progress day. I'm much happier to see the Annie go than see the opponent draw 3 cards, because we still got a lot of work that we have to do here. I picked up Barbed Chain, and we pick up Samira. Not a bad round. Take note, Victor. So let's see. We also picked up the Celestial Trifecta as a means to do some invoking This is what I was talking about in terms of if you want to draw cards, you can just draw as many cards as you want. The options and the opportunities are out here. So, we have like a literal million cards in our hand now. He's doing stuff with Victor. Don't really mind. It's tough.
No prey, no pay.
I meant to play the Pull Shark here, so if we wanted to get in front of Victor, we could. Played the wrong one. It's not that big of a deal. We're not going to be flipping Samira this round anyways. Has to feel bad playing these control decks, right? You just sit around and trade 1 for 1 all day, and then your opponent's like, LOL, I just drew 7 cards. Like, it's bonkers to me. Like, we do still have to worry about some of the stuff coming out of this. Like, if he drops a Pursuit of Perfection, then we're gonna be in trouble. But it seems like it's going fine. So do we actually want to be dropping the Darkin Ballistas here? We're most certainly playing Acorn. Kind of okay with the Darkin Ballista. It's just as we roll into this next turn, are we ever going to want to play the Naganika for 8 mana? It's more than capable of taking down a Victor if we get it on board, and I just kind of feel like we'll end up losing the unit the Ballista is connected to anyways, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm a little bit more interested in, say, like flaring for the damage, so we hit the Plunder, dropping Pirouette onto Victor, drawing the cards off of... interesting. Drawing the cards off of the Inferna and then seeing where it leaves us. Is there going to be another AoE here? Like, I understand playing that to a degree if you just don't have a lot going on in your hand. Like, if your hand is a bunch of expensive stuff or like Riptide Rex or Back Alley Bar and just like some random Garbo, I could see wanting to play it just to spend the mana. But it doesn't feel like it's a play that's connected to another big play. I feel like he's just trying to spend the mana before it's gone. Alright, I'm going to put the Ballista onto Misfortune. I'm not too upset if she gets killed here. I'm actually kind of looking to just flare onto the Pull Shark and hook Victor with it. Try and chunk in as much damage as we can for the turn. And see if we can't start to get them down into like burn range or into a space to where we Celestial Trifecta into a big elusive and get a kill that way. Don't really want this game dragging on too much longer. This guy's intent on the dragging though. I gotta check for a timer. It doesn't exist. Jeez. What do we got? Ravenous Flock. Ravenous Flock changes things a little bit. We kind of want to put that point of damage onto Victor now. So let's go for that. Let's put the Challenger onto the Black Market Merchant. We got 11 damage coming in. Otherwise, let's see what we can do. Unfortunately, it's a little too slow to try and go for the Katarina this round, but it's not horrible if, like, this is our attack for the turn. We try to Ravenous Flock Victor, and then we go for the Celestial Trifecta. I like the opportunity to pick up another answer to Pursuit of Perfection. Like, this guy's most certainly going to be playing it, and we have the Pirouette, but if we get to pick up a 1-mana Silence off of the Celestials, or if we get to pick up a double stun, whatever those cards are called, Equinox and Celestial Stun, fuck, fine. But it gives us answers to what is potentially the most problematic card he can throw at us. How do we feel about trying to just burn him out? Where are we at with that? We've got 3 from the Nox and Fervor, 4 from the Pirouette, 5 from the Flare, and then 6 from Katarina. I don't know, man. I did the math and got to 6. And so let's see where that lands. Now the place we have to watch ourselves here is Katarina takes 4 mana to pull all of this off. And so we can play Katarina this turn,
Never play.
and then we can look to do Blade's Edge Pirouette. But then next turn, we're going to have to wait to drop the Flare. And so there shouldn't be like too many heal cards. I suspect opponent is playing Star Shaping. Like, that's not going to be too rare. I don't think that they're going to be playing things like Guiding Touch, the 2 mana heal 2 cycle thing. Oh, prove me wrong. Glad he did it now. Thanks for the heads up that that spell was about to hit. We'll switch into Ravenous Flock now that we know that we can't kill you. Appreciate it. I was thinking in my head to a degree, like, what happens if we want to try and bait stuff out so we get to say Ravenous Flock onto the victor. Just try and get him to spend some mana before we go for the combos, and I just wasn't happy with the amount of mana that we had. We were going to have to play very slow into the next turn to try and Pirouette is not a card we want. We don't want to give him the opportunity to make a bunch of actions. So I wasn't excited about it. Okay. Do we want to be dropping this Pirouette? I mean, if we roll into the next turn, we should be in pretty decent shape, but like, we can still just go ahead and drop it, and we'll get to start drawing cards off of the Infernus still. So we'll deal 1 to Face, 2 to Victor, keep that Dum from attacking for the round, and I think we're in pretty decent shape after this. I mean, he can do more annoying stuff like play a Felios and then have a Felios generate a lifesteal or something, but he's not doing anything that really impresses me here. Okay. Now he's gonna take a hook into Inferna. That's okay. We got Fizz. We got the Celestial Trifecta for next turn to try and get that second elusive across the board. Would be kind of nice to pick up a Moon Silver off of the Trifecta so that we can try and there it is, so that we can protect our Fizz in the middle of combat. Let's pick up the Traveler. It's going to give us the most expensive potential card, and then Living Legends. I say we should be pretty good here. And then we, of course, dominated the Mourned off of the Reaver's Row. And so that showcased a lot of what I wanted to do. Again, like the big thing I wanted to talk about in terms of using this deck is I know that it's chock full of 1-drops. We have a literal, like, I think I'm playing like 12 or 13 1-drops in the deck. But it's not to say that we can't just continue spending mana throughout the course of the game, right? As we even got to the end in that game, I know you can't realistically assume you're going to hit something like Celestial Trifecta off of a black market merchant, but we just have like so much card draw, and like we still had like a Naganika in our hand that we could have played for 8 mana. We had plenty of ways to spend all of our mana throughout the course of the game, even though we're playing a ton of 1s in here. All right, victory achieved. Onward, upward, inward, outward. All the directions. Let's move it. Always feels good to beat somebody playing Seraphine decks, though. You know, it's one of the highlights of my day. It doesn't really matter how the rest of the event goes. We got to take down the dirty Seraphine back LA Bard deck, and it felt good. Whew. Hope y'all are doing good out there as well. I forgot, there's a stand-up comedian on Netflix. I know I've mentioned him a few times. I really love his outlook on life. He gets up on stage and he tells everybody that they're having a good time. And then he takes a moment to let you know he's not going to ask you if you're having a good time. He knows the answer to that's probably not going to be as good as he wants it to hear. So he just tells you, right? He just tells you that you're having a good time. That's what all the viewers are doing whenever they click into a bust video, you know? They're here having a good time. Shitting on Seraphine and what a terrible design it is. Complaining about Karma Set, getting angry at whoever thought it was a good idea to take Legion Rearguard out of Standard. There's so many good topics to talk about. It's been a disappointment. I was thinking last night as to what I want to do as the Eternal season rolls around, and play Legion Rearguard was right at the top of the list, and so I have high hopes and high expectations for getting our old friends back on board. All right, but now up to battle against the Sun Disk. This is one of the big reasons I was actually wanting to play the 1-drop stack is the Sun Disk has traditionally had problems with decks like Pirates, as to where they were just way too aggressive and the Shurima cards were just too bad to actually deal with all this aggression coming at them. And I feel like if the Sun Disk is going to be if not the best control deck, then certainly the most common control deck that we're experiencing in this format, then I'm kind of on board with just trying to beat this thing down. And so we got thoroughly trounced by the Sun Disk in our previous video, and ideally we'll be able to get a little bit of vengeance in this one. Not nice coming in and just killing our dudes. I don't really appreciate that, but if we can get a flipped Katarina out here, I will feel good about that. Not too many ways for opponent to interact with her. You could hit her with a quicksand to stop her from attacking, but if you want to add a unit to the board, that's not really going to play. Okay. Got the flip. Got the rallies on demand. A little unfortunate we don't have access to the Blade's Edge to pop off some of these plunders right away, but one problem at a time. I'm looking to... It's kind of odd with the Reaver's Row, given that you kind of want it to land right as you're about to attack, but I think we're at least safe at this moment. We can, say, play the Reaver's Row, and then next turn we can add in Annie and try and get some magic going with her. He's the one getting all the big aggro's on us, though. Gotta worry a little bit. Who do we hit? Jagged Butcher and then Samira? That's not bad. Can we still get Annie down on this board? So if we're gonna play Annie and Samira and a challenge off of Samira, it's 4 mana. I think that's okay. We don't have to get really invested with our Jagged Butcher and with these combats too hard, right? Because like letting our 1-drop stick around on board until next turn does get us a little bit further along. So I'm looking with this, I'm wanting to flare onto Annie and have her hook the Hierophant and not really get Samira involved in this combat. Oh. Opponent disagrees with my methods. Still get a good combat for the round, though. And then, like, an open attack next turn sucks a little bit. Like, we're going to lose our Samira, but it's not the end of the world. I think we're still reasonably strong on this board. Azir getting pretty close to flipping, though. That is a little on the scarier side of things. Having the big pile of stats out here. All right, just going to take the Rockhopper damage. We can get out in front of that if we really want to. But I'm looking to, say, Flare, where you add 1 to the Nexus. Going to drop the Black Market Merchant. We're going to get Monkey Business, and we're going to get the Crimson Pigeon on board. Guess we'll be getting the Aspiring Chronomancer on board as well. Something cool. I could get behind a Riptide Rex. I think there's a realistic shot that we actually pop off with that. Monkey Business. Bird. Combat time.
Let's get to it.
Oh man, the -2 to everything. What a bummer. What a bummer.
Keep your distance.
And we could still drop Katarina next turn, but certainly not awesome. So what's gonna die at the end of this? We're gonna lose everything. Did I do the mathematics on these losses correctly? Pigeon dies, Bloodletter dies, everything's gonna just die at the end of the turn. So he's going to come at us next turn with, what is this? This would be 1, 4, 5, 7. So we technically don't have to play Katarina this round, but kind of want to get these attacks in and clear out some of this board.
No going back.
So we're going to add Katarina. I'm going to Blade's Edge the Rockhopper. And then these attacks are still decent, right? Even our units are going to die. We might as well attack with them.
Just an egg.
And then we don't have to attack with Katarina. She can actually stick around at home if we want. That would be a little safer, but we give up on our opportunities to rally on later turns. Maybe we should just leave her around.
Spears ready.
And say the pigeon actually survives if he doesn't put any damage on it. And then do we want to barb the chain? Like we don't have a way to pick up a point of damage next turn. Like our draws for it are pretty low. Like we could look to hang on to the Darkin Harpoon and then just play Abaros next round. Like I don't know how big he's gonna be. It sucks you can't actually see it on this card, but I think I'd rather just go for quantity over quality. And then if we just draw garbage cards, we can still we can still just play the Abaros. Make it rain and Jagged Butcher along with Ravenous Flock. Not terrible.
I should stamp you out like the insect you are.
So there's the Azir Flipperoo. Nothing we can do about that. So what do we hit? The Dune Keeper, the Azir, and the Warded Husk. So no plunders out of this. Do have him down really low on cards at this point, though, right? He's got... Interesting. Interesting. He's only got the one card in hand, and he most certainly can't play it now. I was a little worried about him, like, wanting to protect whatever this card is in his hand from a spell or something, but doesn't seem like we have to worry about that now. Let's boom. So we have a couple of different things we could do this round, right? I'm, of course, just immediately looking to drop Riptide Rex because that's the fun way to do it. But we can, of course, continue to attack with Katarina. We can play Katarina twice this round instead of playing Riptide Rex. We've got to see how much mana the opponent spends here. It's probably just safer to drop him. I don't think it's going to be lethal. Can we just lethal him if we don't do this, though? So we'll have Acorn that gets to hit for 2. And the Katarina gets to keep blasting in, and we'll have the 2 Blade's Edges to go with her. Huh. And Ziggs comes in. So now we don't have to worry about any more cards in his hand. I ultimately just feel a little bit safer dropping the Riptide Rex, I think. Knowing that he doesn't have anything in hand, and we don't have to worry about... like weird exhausts coming in with the Renekton just killing us. I think it's okay to drop it, and then we can come in with Katarina next round. So the Renekton's still on board. We can technically lose, like if he draws an Exhaust or draws a Ruthless Predator, then we're gonna lose. But the very, very small percentage chance the cards that'll actually kill us, and a very small percentage chance those cards are even in the deck. So that's good. GG. All right, not a bad start. 2-0. Y'all didn't think we could do it, did you? I'm curious how many people are actually in Masters. It's just like there was a point in time, like back around the times of say like the Last Chance Gauntlets before they reworked Masters, that you wouldn't run into nearly as many Masters level opponents, and now it feels like it's more common than not. So, I'm curious, how does what percentage of the player base are really just hanging out up in Masters, and then it is kind of nice that it's started to kind of like stratify itself a little bit more in terms of it's not like you're just sitting at top 100 or you're sitting at 0 LP. I really noticed with this season and the last season that there's a lot of space in between. So I think that's kind of nice. All right, opponent gets the Petricide Broadwing down. It's kind of interesting in that we can, say go ahead and protect our Teemo or something with the Darkin Ballista. I think I'm okay with this. So if he wants to take the hook on Teemo, he just loses, and then he can try and take down the Father Fury. Oh, that was lame. That was lame, my dude. You had such a nice way to get in front of the bird. Not anymore. But I think it's fine. We'll manage. Still got the big old team of elusives coming in here. Father Fury doing the work. Oh, interesting. Misfortune along with the shakedown to potentially get something strong happening here. The opponent does have a pretty strong board in terms of, and Jesus, the Badger Bear.
Looking for trouble.
Well, we can still try and get in front of this. So we need to deal, where are you at? Deal 2 to an ally. You're gonna deal 2 to Misfortune. You're vulnerable to the Badger Bear into action. Then I'm gonna still just attack with Misfortune this round. He's only got 1 mana at this point, and if she's just gonna get taken down next turn, I would like to try and go after the bird when he only has 1 mana. So it's like if we roll into next turn and then he gets the hook with the bird into Misfortune, but also has a sharp sight and gets to protect through it, it's not nearly as nice. I feel like it's going to be more of an advantage for us to just assume that she's dead and kind of throw her away now. Say, aight, Fiora. I got 4 attack. Oh shit! I keep forgetting about this thing, man. I guess it's okay. It does knock her down pretty low in terms of health, but I just assume we're just gonna get the kill. Fine. Okay. Let's see where the Eye of Nagakaboros gets us. Not too far. We can maybe build up to something. We got the Jagged Taskmaster and the Powder Pandemonium. We just need like a little bit of time. Our plunder count isn't very high though. We only have 1 plunder up to this point. The Taskmaster would ideally get us up to 2, but definitely not as high as we want it to be. It's not anywhere near lethal Powder Pandemonium. And oh shit, look out, Dragon Chow coming in. But we did thankfully hit the puff cap. It's gonna grant us the things we need to to activate some of these plunders. I mean, yeah, we probably should have just gotten the all out in there, right? All right, he's going big. Going big on those strikes.
I have no equal.
So we'll have to be a little careful in the face of this, Fiora. Don't have tons of removal spells in our deck, and so we're kind of counting on things like Riptide Rex to be able to punch her down, and with her having tough, the cannon barrage only dealing 1 damage a pop, it's kind of a tall order. I mean, I guess as the board stands, we could look to just add the Naganika, and then the Naganika is going to be big enough to fight her in combat and win. So maybe that's the thing to look towards on this upcoming turn. Our 5 attack units are good enough as well. Let's just start with these.
I'll do my best.
They get to take down a Vayne or take down a Fiora or get in for 10 damage. I'm reasonably happy with all of that. I think the question is if we get in for 10, do we want to just come in and Riptide Rex? Oh my god, he's got so many cards. All right, well, the Fiora has been dispatched. You gotta start dropping Darkin now, right? he's playing Aatrox, and so they're gotta start coming in.
Ready, Rex? Not yet. Good to go.
They're sunk now.
All right, so we blast into Vayne, blast into the Chronomancer. Laurent Protege left unscathed. Now we're up to 3 plunders. Oh man, we didn't even kill the Chronomancer. What a sad day.
Ask for more. Nothing's lost. It's just waiting to be found.
Alright, Sivert comes in. Do we have to worry about the Absolver? We're at a pretty healthy life total at the moment. That's manageable. So he only has 1 challenger at this point. I'm just going to go ahead and drop the Powder Pandemonium. Let us block as we choose, and then we should maybe still have a unit. Well, we won't have a unit left at the end of the day, but we could still block all this stuff. He's real close to dead as well, right? With all of these powder monkeys doing their thing, they're gonna drop him down to 2.
Business as usual.
That's pretty low. Oh, we should have. That was sloppy. I just assumed that we were gonna die, so I threw all of our blockers down. That is not the way we should have approached that turn. We should have kept some of our units up. We just need 1 to come through to deal a point of damage. Little sloppy.
This might hurt.
But opponents dropping all the Twisted Fate emotes. That's certainly just happened. And then I was curious how deep we should go into this. I think we want to add the Clockling here. It's like there's a lot of answers opponent could have in this space that, if we're counting on an attack from Katarina to end the game, that still cause problems at the end of the day. And so
Danger pays.
no reason to attack with him. Let's just go in with Katarina now. See if whatever he does doesn't cause him to spend some more mana. And now that we've got Katarina in hand, we can separate out this last single point of damage.
My way. Let the bloodshed begin.
We'll actually want to throw in the parlay first. I don't know what he could have at that point, but if you're in that spot, you see that spot happen occasionally with like focus cards playing out of the Samira decks, as to where you can't play certain cards at a certain time, right? You can't play your focus cards in the middle of combat. With that, we would want to put the parlay on the stack first. So if he has some slow card, I don't know what it's supposed to be, but if he has a single combat to lifesteal or something with, then we can still put the still put the Blade's Edge over to the left and give us a chance as to where if we play the Blade's Edge first with the parlay second, he would have more opportunities to do stuff and potentially get out of it. All right, though. That's how y'all thought we was going to be getting some wins today, right? It's dropping parlays and Blade's Edges and stuff right to the face. That's what it's about. Leave your decimates at home. Just get your parlays ready. All right, the Ephemeral's coming at us. It's an interesting deck in the sense that this is a deck that used to be like quite good against things like the Sun Disk, in that they just didn't have great ways to answer all of this. I'm curious how this actually plays out. It's kind of interesting as well. Like if you're looking at constructed decks, you see a lot of stuff like a lot of stuff like, say, Shurima Lucian. So you have like Lucian Azir, or you have Azir Hecarim, or you have Hecarim Irelia. Like there's a lot of two faction decks that could get a lot of benefit out of a third faction, but without that third faction being around, because you only get to play two, you don't get as many of the combos. And so it's kind of interesting seeing opponent get to play both the Zed Irelia Hecarim along with the Azir. But this is fine. We're not a Teemo deck, so I don't really care to trade away the Teemo. I felt like this is one of these boards to where there is a chance opponent just doesn't have anything. If they don't have anything in, then we get the full amount of damage, but they probably don't have a way to stop both of our units. And so they might have a way to deal with the Teemo like they had here. They might have a rando 2-drop to deal with the Saboteur, but they probably can't deal with both, and we don't have to just open with Teemo. Alright, now Zed's coming in. Nothing we can do about him. Just going to get domed, and I'm going to look to start adding in Katarinas. If we're just going to get into a damage race, Katarina is certainly a way to get ahead. Darkin Ballista is tempting. I think we still just want to attack. It's like if he actually blocks with Zed in front of something, we can look to replay the Katarina and then Blade's Edge Zed down. So I don't think we're really gaining a lot by putting the Darkin Ballista on the Saboteur, because then we just can't play our Katarina afterwards. Alright, but there's the rally. Are we actually going to play her this turn? I wasn't planning on it. Let's just start to play these other cards. We'll Swindle. These cards all kind of suck. Don't want Rite of Calling. Don't want Shark Chariot. I guess we're stuck with the Ribbon Dancer. She at least gives us a blocker for next turn. Play the Barbed Chain. Move on. I bet he plays Rite of Calling now. What do you think? Oh, a Fading Memories to go with it. And the Rite of Calling now. Wow, that was big. That was a big turn. Oh, boy. I wonder if he plays the card first. Like, that's a pretty devastating attack if he just comes at us with the Zed and then the additional chariots.
Moving into sight.
Can we lethal this turn? So I'm looking here, like we're gonna add Katarina, and then we can send the Blade's Edge to face for the Plunder, and then we can look to Pirouette. Looks like we're gonna be short of the lethal, but we can Pirouette down Azir, and then we'll be really close next turn. Oh shit, we knew he had that unit. Oh, we were so boomed. So boomed. 2 Shark Chariots gonna come out of that. I did not anticipate this thing happening. Ooh, GG. That's tough. I don't know if we had a way out of that. Like, we could have
I'm needed elsewhere.
started in with the, instead of doing all the card draw, we could have just started in with Katarina's again, but that's tough. And we could have blocked the Zed, and so he wouldn't have been leveled up so fast. Just giving up on your board that fast always is so painful. All right, but back to this dude. This is the same Aatrox, the same Aatrox player from earlier, 2 games ago. Off to the races. Got the world's most powerful card, Darkin Harpoon, out here ready for action. It draws cards and stuff, man. You get to play Abaros, the super fearsome. It's not that bad. He doesn't get enough credit. But I feel reasonably safe with this Annie. We have a nice bit of interactivity here, so I don't think we have to worry entirely about the Fleet Feather Tracker. Now with the Spear online, we have to decide if we want to just give up on Annie. And that's kind of tough. I mean, he doesn't have Challenger yet, so we will get a chance to respond with the Make It Rain, maybe get something good happening. And he's not going to just bomb us with her. I'm going to give up on that. That was a little too scary for my tastes. Now, how do we want to go about this? I don't have too much faith in like loading up on Annie. It feels like he's about to really come at us this round, and so let's play the Clockling. We hit Teemo. Teemo's going to be free. I'm going to look to drop him in. And we have good attacks now. We can see what happens with the Make It Rain. So if he wants to block Bird onto Annie, we can Make It Rain. Do we ever want to use the we probably want to use Mystic Shot, right? If he has a tough, like a Chain Vest or random +1/+1, this will get us out of it. Single combat's fine. This Annie was not... I guess she was a little bit closer to flipping than I'm giving her credit for, but she's not a necessity to our game plan. She did a lot of work this game in terms of drawing resources out of the opponent, so no complaints with the effort that she put forth. So what do we got? We hit the Quinn Bird, the Quinn, and the face. The probably the second best one we could have. I wanted to get a Plunder and kill the Quinn Bird as the main points here. You can look to puts the harp onto Quinn. It's interesting. And so you can look to wait until they equip, but we know that he had the... Oh, no, the one thing was already in hand, so maybe we should have just let it go.
Scouting ahead.
I was worried, like, if you give them the chance to, like, equip it, they can put an equipment on it that makes the Make It Rain not work. So that was not what I wanted to see there. All right, let's draw some cards. There's just too much possibility for him to add a big unit here. I think we have to take all the damage that we can. We'll send the squad. We can start blocking Quinn next turn. That's not that big of a deal. And we're getting reasonably close to the lethals. Stylish Shot could take him down to 4. Aatrox, exactly what we didn't want to run into if we had to get into combat. He's going to be a real pain in the dick. So we got Get Excited and Katarina. think we just let this go. Like, I don't want to get too invested in this get excited. And I kind of like the idea of being able to
No going back.
get excited a unit away in front of Aatrox. I don't think we'll end up taking it, but we have a couple of options. We can either try and like block and kill Aatrox, or we can get excited the unit that he's going to be in front of. I think this one's just going to come down to our elusives.
No one escapes my aim. Valor. We're not done yet.
Valor hooks our big one. We can get Forged Chief in front of Aatrox. That takes him up to 9. Okay. So let's just be all in with the damage. We'll send the Get Excited to face. We'll send the Blade's Edge to face. Next turn, we'll have the mana to play Zap, attack with everybody, and then ideally get a rally. Okay, we're dead now. I think that gave us an out though, right? With the opponent so low, if we're able to attack twice with all the elusives, even if he has a card like Single Combat or another strike or something, we have an opportunity to come in and crush and take him down. I'm curious if we couldn't have done a little bit more work to take down that Quinn. She had a bit of damage on her, but we let her just slam into face for a ton. Oh, she had quick attack every time she attacked. We didn't have any real ways around it. All right, though. Next battle up against the Brawlers. Varus Pantheon coming at us. So let's hang on to the Forged Chief. Look for some cheaper dudes. Got that elusive package coming out this game. Are you scared? What you got, Zoe? Ah, he's got his own elusives package, huh? That's kind of lame. Kind of lame, my dude. Alright, well, let's start swinging for the fences. I'm going to load up the ballista. We'll see if he plays anything. I mean, I think we're pretty intent on dropping the ballista onto Forged Chief. He shouldn't be able to interact with it too much. Like, he can drop a unit here, sure, but he's not playing P and Z. We don't have to worry about removal spells coming out of his factions. Nice stylish shot pickup. Might as well drop it. We're not casting anything else this turn. Oh boy. Oh, okay. Well, he wasn't equipped. I saw that come in. I was like, oh man, we are doing stone nothing this round, but it turned out okay. It was a very expensive turn. I know we don't get the stylish shot back, but I think that was still good.
All things can be analyzed, even Darkin.
So he's still not equipped up to this point. We want to just keep going big with these units. It's a little scary. Like, if we pick up a Shell Shocker and then we do start to just run out of stuff to do. We are in this heavy one-drops plan, though. But I think next turn, we're realistically got to be playing Pull Shark Reaver's Row. And so we can just do this. We can drop the Harp now. All of our attackers are good. We're going to make an open and then spend all 5 mana on our 2 cards here. And then ideally, whatever Pull Shark draws will give us that little bit of opportunity for the next turn to spend all of our mana. So Pull Shark comes in, Reaver's Row comes in. Gotta see if we can't get our Powder Monkey down on the board. Get a Plunder for the turn. Did another elusive. That's not bad. The old one target Pantheon coming through. So I mean, yeah, we're so close to the lethal next turn. But our elusives aren't going to be the units that get to grow. I guess everybody should have enough stats to get beyond like fighting Pantheon and winning. So I think that's fine.
Where you going?
Hang on. Let's just get rid of our Jagged Butcher. We can replay. We can replay the Darkin Harp. So let's put the do we want to put it on our only ground-based unit? I think we want to put it on. I'm kind of regretting not blocking with the Clockling now, because our Poro is going to get fearsome and can't be blocked. All right. Fine. Yeah, I don't like that. Alright, squad coming in. That was enough. GG. You don't even math it. You don't even count it. You'd say everybody in the red zone. But we should have been pretty okay there regardless of what happened. We had the Samira to put the flare into our hand, and then we had the Riptide Rex for the next turn. So we could have probably got a plunder kill after we... Excuse me, after we traded all of our... or after we won whatever combat's on that turn. Oh man, I saw somebody comment earlier there going back and watching expedition videos. I forget who it was. I'm sorry, I'd have to look up your name. But those expedition videos are all still out there if that's your thing. I've got them in the playlists in the channel, and so they aren't listed. If you go and search YouTube for them, they don't turn up. The kind of problem with that is YouTube gets really confused in terms of the content that you're trying to produce. And so if you're trying to produce constructed content and then you have a bunch of videos for just expedition up, it's going to, somebody's going to search up constructed content, they're going to watch it, they're going to say, oh boy, Bust, that was fantastic, that's the best video I've ever seen. Let's say some of your more suggested content, and then it's going to show you like an expedition video, and that's not anywhere near relevant to what's being shown. That's kind of the same problem I have with like the Path of Champions content is it's really tough. You get like two kind of competing groups of people. A lot of people care about Path of Champions. A lot of people care about constructed, but the overlap of the Venn diagram isn't very big. And so when I was in that kind of stage of putting out 2 videos in a day, one Path of Champions, one constructed, it really just kind of like tanks the visibility because as those two groups kind of merge, there's not a lot of people wanting to watch both videos. But where it's kind of going is if you're interested in watching those old expedition things, it's there. It's just in the playlists. And so if you go to the playlists in the channel, you should be able to scroll down and find those old videos if you want to watch a draft from a year ago. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, but not a bad start. Up against some kind of Samira Yasuo number. I'm going to lead off here with this Acorn. I want to be in a spot to where we're going to deal, this is the least damage option, but up against like this Samira style deck, I kind of feel like taking it a little slow and just maximizing all of our mana is going to put us in a little bit of a better spot.
No need to make a name for myself, just an impression.
So let's go ahead and drop the Annie. She's going to get to see us cast the Mystic Shot. Opponents spending their flare and everything. Everything's going as intended. Now I'll feel a little bit better about potentially dropping Teemo this round. I gotta say, opponent, I was expecting this to be much more aggressive. I saw opponent was playing Samira, so you just assume they're playing some kind of aggro deck, but they have a lot of not aggro tools within the kit here once you get beyond that top row of champions with Karma set Aphelios in there. So gotta worry about those dum-dums just a little bit. All right. right, now we got our Darkin harped Annie, the aggro monster coming through. Do you want to battle? Do you want to battle in front of a quick attack and Annie? That's scary, man. That's scary.
Bless the faithful and fear the heretics.
All right, Clockling can come in. Samira sounds good to me. We have all the mana for next turn if we want to. Samira, Misfortune, and drop a hook.
Devotion to battle.
So no complaints from this side of the board. He does get a Katarina. I guess we can complain about that a little bit, but
solves everything.
we're pretty strong. Even if he does get to start blades edging some of our 1 health units. Interesting. Goes after Teemo. Like, Teemo, I try to say it every time it comes up when it's relevant. A lot of times, Teemo is just in the deck as like a 1/1 that may get to deal a little bit of extra damage later. I don't have particularly high intentions for the Teemo in this deck. The stronger unit we have is actually Acorn, and so kind of odd seeing them try and take us down that way. Now, can we take all of this damage? I think we're kind of stuck, but I don't think opponents should be able to really go over the top of us here. And then we're going to attack with Misfortune as well. She's going to be an unfortunate casualty of this board, but I think this is okay, right? He's going to block Misfortune with the Solari Soldier and then be able to Blades Edge her down. But, oh, interesting. Goes after the Acorn.
Love ya.
Well, we're very close to lethal. Got the Sword of 3 burn in hand. If we can make it to the next turn, we should be okay.
Where do you stand on cold shots?
This is not a particularly scary board for a Katarina recall to come out. Maybe that was his angle for the turn. He was just going to try and get wider than us, and that's why he shot down the 1/1. I don't know. That didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Let the bloodshed begin.
All right. Katarina's in.
They should be.
Wait a minute.
My kind of party.
And he's so close to flipping, but I don't think we can risk it. All right, well, let's help Samira out here. We're going to go ahead and deal the point of damage to face. She should be getting the strike in here. We're not going to take any damage out of this combat. And then the idea with this is if he's only going to have like one good target for his Blade's Edge, he chose to go for Annie, that's fine. But we should be able to just kind of burn him out from this point. Do have like 5 burn in hand at this point.
Time for violence.
All right, that should do it. Again, you can play stuff like Star Shaping and heal out of a lot of this. I don't think he's going to heal. We're coming at him for 8 right now, and then we have a lot of burn in hand. Felt pretty strong. All right, GG. Make ourselves to the final battle. We've had a pretty good run with this. We 6-0'd the first one. We lost in the final battle in the last one. Now we're in the final battle here again. Would be nice to get to these things without any losses, but I'm pretty happy with our results up to this point. All right, seeing Yasuo win there. That's one of the champions we've long forgotten. I'm kind of interested now that the Eternal Month is going to be coming upon us to see if Yasuo makes an appearance. I I don't think so. I think the Eternal format's going to be so fast that that Yasuo's not going to have a chance to shine. He really kind of wanted that mid-rangey kind of format to where your opponent's attacking with an Averosian Hearthguard and you get to hit it with a concussive palm kind of slowness, and didn't really handle himself well against pirates. It's like I mentioned earlier, as trying to kind of get myself in a headspace of what we think we're going to be doing when these Eternal Opens roll around, and like pirates is definitely on the menu, but that starts to get interesting when you're like probably not going to play Samira in pirates, right? You're probably going to play probably stick to say like Twisted Fate Misfortune or something, and the more classic combo, and then get to use your Samira elsewhere. And I'm kind of curious to where that elsewhere Samira really kind of starts to land, because you can't play Samira Fizz and play pirates, right? You can't play two Noxus Bilgewater decks, and so I'm interested. I think it's going to be real interesting how that actually plays out and turns out. You say, all right, I got my Pirates Legion Rearguard deck. I got my Samira Legion Rearguard deck. Then you really just got to find one more Legion Rearguard deck, and you're off to the races. You're ready to battle in the thing. All right, into our final battle though. We didn't have any units in our opener, so we took the full mulligan. Now I want to lead off with Forge Chief and a couple things with that. If he wants to play like a burn spell on turn 2, I would prefer his burn spell be directed towards the Forge Chief, I should say on turn 1. And then without it, it gives us this opportunity on turn 2 to just get that extra point of mana in. And so, happy enough with how this board looks. Start slamming. Got that burn spell coming on the Forge Chief, huh? Sad day for you. But not the end of the world by any means. And Annie brings in the heavy metal. Sure. Gonna go ahead and drop the Ravenous Flock. I'm not super worried about this Seraphine. Like she's like done her job, right? She's already come in, and the heavy metal came off of Seraphine. That was a very good generate. But we're going to be coming at them with the elusives at this point, and I don't want to just sit around with that mana banked up, and so we'll let that one go away. Fizz is kind of interesting. Just another elusive. I don't think we're going to be popping off with Reaver's Row here, but you have to give Pirouette a little bit of respect when you already have Inferna in hand. But I kind of feel like with Inferna, we're like a little bit short on the big Plunder package right now, and so I didn't want to just throw her down and... or I didn't want to take the Pirouette when we're not really going to get good combos out of it with her. Soaking up the Sunburst. Okay. Going to bring in the Ballista. I'd like to get Fizz on board this round as well. Kind of want opponent to spend some mana before we drop Fizz, though. They did not. Unfortunate. Maybe next round, my friend. I think we'll get a good shot with Fizz. I don't really want to waste him, as we have this nice elusive crew out here ready to...
Technique is for lightweights.
It's brutal. This elusive crew out here ready to load up with these equipment.
We playing bilge rules, son?
Alright, well, we got to play the Taskmaster. Losing out on the Plunder kind of is what it is. Let's see, he doesn't seem too amped about attacking with Set. Interesting. Why does he attack the Taskmaster? Just as a means of... if he's going to like hook in the Clockling, he's more likely to pop his barrier thing? I guess that makes a little sense. He didn't jump in when we had the all-out in hand. Unfortunate. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and bring everybody. We don't have a spell to protect Fizz with, and I feel like, at least with this way, we should probably get the Plunder in, and we really need to be hitting on this Black Market Merchant and picking up something to do. Our hand is very thin at this point, so it's like if we can take this turn and like spend all of our cards... Oh my gosh, he's got Hexbliterator. But the Hexbliterator is not landing on Fizz. Okay. So we lose out on the Naganika. That's not awesome. I was really hoping that we were going to have the Ballista for next turn, but didn't land that way. Concussive Palm comes in. All right. Let's throw down the crew. You can... I don't want to wait till next turn on Teemo. Like, if something happens and Fizz dies, I want to have the 8 mana next turn so that we can play the Darkin Harp, right? Or whatever it's called, the big version, the Striatu. So, we'll see. So if he says, okay, I want to challenge Fizz with Set, then we still have the opportunity to play that big spell.
I'm the boss. That's all there is to it. No.
I don't think he wants to hook Fizz, but if he does, you know, if he's feeling frisky and says, I want to put the Darkin back into your hand, then we'll let him. We'll let him.
Beat losers, get
Is he going to do it for us?
you.
Oh, man. He's going to do it for us. I appreciate that. Oh, no. Oh, there it is. That was like the slowest animation 2023. Okay. Okay. So now we're in a spot where we're going to have to open attack next turn, right? I don't want him to pick up the Gravitum, this double stun, put the double stun on Striatu, so I want to be casting spells right now. I think we probably just want to just go ahead and get excited this Aphelios away while he doesn't have any mana. He's probably got to just block Striatu with Set next turn, so that that problem, excuse me, should be gone. But definitely opening. I don't think there's anything in our deck that would ever change that emotion. Get to draw a couple cards, a Swindle and a Zap. Pick up those burn spells we need to finish this one off. Got a 3 activation on the Powder Pandemonium. Well, I got in for 4 damage this turn. Ah, that does not feel right. it feels like we should have hit for like at least 8. Okay. So what do you got? Iterative Improvement. Oh, he did with Crescendum and then has Pursuit of Perfection. So his opponent's Pursuit of Perfection the one that is at 15 of 20? Is that how that actually works? Or is it ours that's at 15 of 20? Has to be ours, right? There's no way opponents played 15 cards this game. Like, that makes sense with us, with all the stuff that we've thrown down. I don't believe that they've done it. But at any rate, I'm still just going to go with the Iterative Improvement. We're going to drop a Zap Spray Fin after that. Then we'll Iterative Improvement the Zap. See if we can't come in and just find ourselves that lethal. Big old value chains.
Gotta go with the flow.
I think I'm right with that. Am I not? With the that has to be our Pursuit of Perfection. Like, if you click on the opponent's thing, well, there's nothing to see here on the opponent's played cards, but I can't imagine that they've played 15 this game.
Eminently logical.
All right, the Donger comes in. I'm gonna go ahead and drop our Darkin. Nothing else that we can really do. Iterative Improvement onto Zap. Okay, so if he's going to play a 4-cost elusive, there's no way that he's got a... There's no way that he's got the Pursuit of Perfection coming down this turn. Just coining out a bunch of dudes. You got it. Take the parlay onto this guy. I want to get the blocker off the board before we open attack next turn. And hopefully we're close enough. Like, I don't think we have the lethal damage on board, but between all of the various monkey cards, ideally we'll get up to that lethal we're looking for. Gonna play Monkey Business this round. It gets that guaranteed point of damage in for the turn. And then it helps clear out our board a little bit next turn for when we want to drop the Powder Pandemonium. Let's just go ahead and replace our guy as well. It's like, if opponent survives this turn, the game's probably done, right? And so let's just go ahead and try and pick up that maximum damage. Like we're gonna be struggling. We're gonna be in this spot to where, you know, we need we need these Teemo puff caps to finish it off if we don't get through the game this turn. Not a good draw from Striatu, but we're losing some units. Yep. Okay. 3 damage coming in, or dropping him to 3 damage, I should say. Okay. Okay. Oof, oof. The Teemo point. I hope Fire Fist Ace is over here squeezing them cheeks. This is a definite cheek squeezer right now. Placing his bets, all right. That one feels much better. He's gonna be out of heal range. I think we're good to go at this point. Even if he picked up, I don't know, Mystic Shot for Teemo, the Powder Pandemonium should end the game. Should. We only get 4 of them this turn, and so it's only gonna be there for the exacties. See what they think. 4 monkeys into 2 health. That's it. GG. Mark it a W for bust. Gimme all 10 of them trophies. And so, not a bad set of battles. Let me double check and make sure this event is over. Then we can pull this up and talk about it a little bit more. Yeah, 10 trophies, go us. And so, again, the idea with the deck is pretty reasonable. We're much more on the aggressive end of the spectrum, but the balance probably isn't perfect. And that's okay. You know, it's really tough to come out and test for these singleton events. But the idea and the concept that I was trying to pull off with this deck, I feel we expressed very well, in the sense that you can come out, you can play this just absolutely ridiculous collection of 1-drops, and you don't have to worry about running out of stuff to do. It's that thing that you were able to do with Pirates when you were playing Eye of Nagakaboros and you had a little bit more card draw. You would be playing Pirates and ending the game with like 6 and 7 cards in your hand. And you know, I feel like that's the same thing that you're able to do here. Between having like the Eye of Nagakaboros and the Barbed Chains and then the Infernos and just all of the card draw throughout the deck just naturally, but then you add in Zap Sprayfin and Augmented Clocklings, and then you add Darkin on top of that. You just have access to so much stuff to do that you don't really find yourself in this spot to where your hand is just empty because you spewed a bunch of 1s on the board. And so overall, I was pretty happy with how this played out. The numbers with the Plunder stuff aren't exactly right. Like, I was happy enough to be playing the Plunder mechanics, but the numbers just didn't feel exactly right. There were some times where we didn't have enough for the Powder Pandemoniums, and then some times to where we did get it up to 6 in that last game, but it's no guarantee that that's actually going to pop. And so I think that there's like a little bit of play there. Things like Monkey Business don't feel nearly as good as you're not playing a bunch of cards like, or you only get to play 1 copy of Jagged Taskmaster, but as you start to cut the Plunder cards out of your deck, then you have to start to question if you want them at all. And that's a valid question. I think that they're, you know, decent and they're good. I do like having access to the Powder Pandemonium. But again, some of the numbers could change. And so I think if I was going to do battle with this again, the Reaver's Row is the one that I'm kind of like right on the edge with. I'm about to suggest that we place a couple more 1-drops, and that makes me like the Reaver's Row just a little bit more. But that was the one I felt like we didn't really need, although it did provide us with a lot of raw power in some of those games. The Darkin Harpoon could likely go, and then from there, it's just kind of a couple of numbers tweaks. Maybe Get Excited gets to go, but I don't like completely removing out all of the burn package. Something like Parlay could go, but it's another good Plunder activator and burn card as well. And so I would just need a little bit more experience. The thing that I'm going to say that I would like to have in the deck is one more answer to a Pursuit of Perfection. And so we have the Pirouette is one way. That can be something as simple as adding in Thorn of the Rose to the deck so you have access to that generated stun, or you could add in something like Arachnoid Sentry, whatever, some way to deal with a Pursuit of Perfection. And so that could be the Tellstones that generates Hextech Transmogulator so that you can hit it that way. Like there's tons of ways. It's just our deck has one, and I don't like having only one answer to the Pursuit of Perfection, because as this format kind of evolves and people play it more, the big decks you're going to see are the Sundisk, the Pursuit of Perfection, a bunch of mid-rangey stuff, and then a bunch of just Noxus-based aggro. And if 25-33% of the format is based on Pursuit of Perfection, then you're going to want to have a little bit of a better answer to it. But nonetheless, good stuff. I had fun with those games. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. This is Bustin' Me. Thank you for being here.